Hey, what's up guys? My client asked me to create one of the weirdest / most creative projects I have ever created in my entire life. They want me to create art from a wooden pallet, an abandoned wooden pallet that hasn't been used in over 10 years. Now, this is one of the most craziest projects I have ever undertaken, but so excited that I was able to do it. Let me take you through that process as to how I did it step by step. So make sure you pay attention because you can learn a thing or two. Alright, so this is where the real work begins. Before I could even think about the design, I had to break this pallet down, literally. You'd think it'd be easy, but nah, this thing did not want to come apart. I had to pull, pry, and basically wrestle with every single piece. They were rusted nails, warped boards, and it was like a full-on workout. I'm telling you, I put in so much work into just ripping this whole thing apart. But honestly, there's something about using my hands like this that makes the process feel a little more meaningful. It's not just about creating the art, it's about the transformation and taking something that has been tossed aside and giving it a whole new life. And I kept that in my mind the whole entire time. I was finally able to salvage enough good wood to build a base and a frame, and from here it's all about shaping the vision I had in my head. This is where the fun really begins, but still, I had a lot more work to do. Now that I had the frame built, it was time to start piecing the actual design together. While digging through some of the scrap piles where I found the wooden pallet, I found these old abandoned wooden dowels, and I knew right away that they could add something special to this piece. They had this raw, weathered texture that I really liked, but they definitely needed some love. I had to cut each of them to size and sand them down, which I thought would be quick, but nah, not at all. Since they had 4 sides, it took me way longer than I expected. Every edge had to be smoothed out so they fit cleanly into the layout I had in mind. It was one of those slow, meditated parts of the process where you just locked in, but I knew that the end result was going to be worth it. This part of the project took a lot of mapping, measuring, and design work. My client specifically asked me to incorporate the Blue Ridge Mountains into this piece, and that was right up my alley. If you know my style, you know I love working with curves and flow. The Blue Ridge Mountain has this natural rhythm to it, those soft peaks, rolling lines, and layered silhouettes, so it felt like the perfect match. I spent a good amount of time sketching out the layout, trying to figure out how to build layer upon layer to really capture that sense of depth, shadow, and movement. I didn't want it to feel flat. I wanted the piece to breathe almost like you could walk into it. It took some back and forth, a lot of measuring and reworking, but once the layout started to come together, I knew it was going to be something special. I had this idea to create a stained checker-styled mountain for the final layer, something that would give the piece a bold contrast from the rest of the design. It was one of those ideas that sounded simple in my head, but once I started, I realized how tedious it was. Getting the pattern just right, making sure each piece lined up cleanly, and then applying the different stains without bleeding into each other. It took a lot of trial and error. But because I had that end vision in mind, I stuck with it. I took my time, stayed patient, and eventually it all started to click. That final layer brought a whole new dimension to this piece and tied everything together in a way that felt unique and intentional. Now that all the wood was cut, it was time to stain and paint all the pieces. Basically bring this whole vision to life. I was honestly excited for this part just to finally see how the design elements would come together. I used so many nails, glue, screws, you name it, just to make sure this thing was solid. I really didn't want this thing falling apart once it was hung. Not gonna lie, I lost sleep over this part. With all the layers stacked up on top of each other, I kept thinking about the weight and how the hell this was gonna stay on the wall. After stressing myself into exhaustion, I finally figured out a solution. I split the pieces into 3 separate panels. That made it way easier to transport and, most importantly, way more secure once it was installed. And once I added the finishing touches, it was time to finish the piece and add its varnish so I can make this thing shine. I am so grateful for this project because it really pushed me out of my comfort zone. I love projects like these that make me think and just truly make me become extremely creative. This project was commissioned by Kinship at Camp North End, a new residential building here in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you want to support my channel and see more projects like these, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I will love your support. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.